I hope we're having a good afternoon. My name is Joyce Kim, and I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. I was born and raised there, and 21 years ago, I moved to Utah with my family. We had a family of four, my husband, my daughter, my son, and I. So I think a lot of you on this conference know who I am, and it's true. So if you're a crier and I cry, you'll cry with me. So we'll all cry together. I was amazed that actually Oretta asked me to speak because I don't think my story is very different from a lot of people. And when I heard Summer's talk, it brought a lot of things back to what happened to my family. So if you don't know about the history, my son had a substance use disorder. He started a while in high school. He had several head injuries, concussions, a couple of really bad ones from sports. And so if you have foresight, if we had foresight, we could head off any tragedies. Unfortunately, we don't. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I call myself a Christian, and I think that's what we all need to do. So the topic is rising above the pain, and I think what Oretta said is true. You can use your pain to actually give you the strength and the courage to do things that need to be done, and that you wouldn't normally have done. You would have just maybe let it pass and not do anything. I looked up the meaning of the word grief, and my son died. It's going to be 3 years next year from an overdose, an accidental overdose, and my husband found him in our home that way. He was 24, which is relatively young. So grief is a noun, and it's sorrow, misery, sadness, anxiety, heartbreak, all of the things that you can feel within that pain. I think the biggest pain for me was being a mom and finding out my child had a substance use disorder. He had an addiction to drugs, and understanding that I thought I did all the talks, we ate dinner together every night, we were active in his life, we knew his friends, we knew where he was, or we thought we knew where he was, and then this happens, and you're like, how does this happen? We're a middle-class family, we go to church, what can we do? And that was a really hard spot for us. Being a mom, and all you moms out there, you know that you're the fixer. You're supposed to fix whatever's the problem in your family. If your child has a problem, you're gonna try to fix it. You're gonna try to see how you can help that child move forward and get the help they need and to achieve the success in whatever they're doing. Well, that wasn't the case, right? 2 years ago, my son dies, he's my baby. Can't understand because he was doing so well. He had celebrated 2 years of being sober, and bam, this happens. I don't really know why this is happening. Just trying to figure out what the heck. And during this time, you can think of all the would've, should'ves that you could have done, but it's all hindsight. Everything is done already, and you have to figure out how do you move forward. And I belong to this Facebook group called TAM, and it's the Addict's Mother. And one of the things that one of the moms posted was, whenever you don't understand what's happening in your life, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say, God, I know this is your plan, just help me through it. Amen. And I thought that was so profound because I would go to church, I would go to Relief Society, and I'd have these questions in my mind. I mean, what parent what mom would give birth to a child knowing that you were going to have to bury your child? There's none of us that would do that. And I was at this Relief Society meeting, and I remember we were talking about this. I don't know how it came up. And I was struggling with this. Why would I have done this? Because I truly believe that God told us our plan in life, and we just said, yep, let's go, we're going to do it, I can do it, yeah, no worries, I can do it, I can go through jobless, I can go through this, I can go through that, I have you on my side, we're going to be good. And then we come to earth, and we don't have him in our life. Or we have him in our life, but then we forget sometimes, right? We fall away, and things go away from us. And I remember praying, and the answer came to me, and it said, Joyce, when you were on the other side of the veil with me, you had my grace, and you could do anything that I asked you to do. And then you came down to earth for your trial, and there was a separation from us, that veil closed. And sometimes we forget what our plan is, or what his plan is for us. And sometimes we lose the faith or the hope that we had in good times. And you can tell that I'm crying. I do really good some days, I do really bad some days. Todays are not a good day, I think, because I heard other people talk about their issues. And going forward from that moment was my mantra. I knew this was the plan. God knows I can go through this. I have his grace, and I'm going to move forward. And that's one of the other things that I think is hard. When someone passes away, and they use the word unexpectedly. Well, really, is it unexpectedly? Maybe for us as humans, but it is God's time. It's when he wants us back. And I had to remember that I knew it, I said okay, and I'm going to move forward. There is a little it's a TED Talks, and Susie will know the joke between her and I about TED Talks. But I was just scrolling one day on Netflix, and this popped up, and so I watched it, and it's by a woman who I can only say her period of life was awful, so awful. And she had, when she was talking, it was the same thing I was going through. People were saying, oh, he's in a better place. After a year, it's like, you have to move on. Well, we don't move on, because Adam is still my child. Whether he's here with me physically or not, he's still my child. But the more important thing is moving on. Moving forward, excuse me. So you move forward and you start to think, what are you going to do? When Adam passed away, and we finally got to see him at the funeral home, I made him a promise that I am going to do whatever is in my power to make sure that this doesn't happen to another family again. That another mother, another father, another sibling, sister, brother, uncle, auntie, grandparent doesn't have to feel the pain of losing a child to a substance use disorder and not having to deal with it. And that, if you want it, it's called, it's a TED Talk, and it's by Nora McMillan. It says, we don't move on from grief, we move forward with it. And it's a really great, she's really good. If you hear the first part of her introduction, you're going to be thinking, oh my gosh, and I thought my life was bad. Okay. And then we move on, and I've been doing a lot of things. I was lucky that I had people in my life that could help me during this hard time, because I didn't know, right? Nobody knows is ready to bury a child. You don't have a plot ready for them. You don't have a funeral plan ready for them. You just wing it. And I was lucky. Susie and Simi came to help. I had Agnes. I had all of these people. I had Loretta who came to help. And it was just unbelievable, the pouring out of love that came from this. If I knew what I know now, things would probably be different. Hopefully my child would still be with me. But that's something that I really don't know. There was another quote that was put onto the Addicts Mom's posting, and it said, "It's time to just be happy. Being angry, sad, and overthinking things isn't worth it anymore. Just let things flow and be positive." So I had to think of all the things that I could do in Adam's memory so that I could help other people through this and change policies and change processes on how substance use disorder is viewed and the attitude that we have in society. And what Summer said was true. For the most part, it's still a hidden disease. And it is a sickness, it is a disease. It's not only mentally, it's also physically. Once your body is addicted to something, you can't just deal with the brain and not deal with the body. The body needs something. So I'm a chocoholic. I love chocolate. And although I can do with or without, if I'm out to dinner and I order a chocolate dessert, I don't share. That's just how I am. That's mine. So everybody can get their own, but nobody gets mine. And I think that we need to remember how people with SUD, substance use disorder, are viewed and what's out there to help. There's been such silence on it. And I think part of it is the state we live in. We live in Utah. Everybody is hunky-dory, you know, we live in this bubble, happy valley, yes, 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 there's no problems. But we know there are, right? We know there's problems with domestic violence, human trafficking, drugs, pornography, homelessness. There's so many different avenues that need help. And if you're a super person like Susie, you can do everything, but I cannot do that. So I stick to one, and I stick to substance use disorder. I always talk to other parents, and I belong to the State Opioid Task Force, and there's a PACA parties to the University of Utah that is trying to change the attitude of how substance use disorder is viewed and how it's handled in the emergency room situation, because it's something that has to be addressed. The other part is, how do we get the help to the people who need the help? I'm so happy that the 12-step helped Summer and helps a lot of people. There are some people like my son who was not receptive and could not wrap his head around a higher B. And with that, you need to be open and try to find something that will fit the person. Not the person fit the program, but the program that fits the person. It's the opposite way around. You want to try and help that. I ran across this, and this was something that was said by Robert Downey Jr., who is a recovering addict. And he says, "I think that the power is the principle of moving forward as though you have the confidence to move forward, eventually giving you confidence when you look back and see what you have done." So coming out of that grief, coming out of that darkness that you said, I can't live, my child died and I just buried him, how do I even move forward? And I think it's just having that power in you that you're gonna push through this, and you're gonna find the people that support you and help you, because you have to honor that person that passed away, that you lost. And by giving up, you just let someone else determine your life and how you're going to live it and how your family's going to live it. I still have a daughter. I can't just die and she's still my daughter. She's my child too, and I can't forget that. I can't let my husband be alone because he needs somebody to lean on too. And I think that's really an important thing. This was said at one of the events that I went to for grief, and it says, and this is by President Ronald Reagan. He says, a wife who loses a husband is called a widow. A husband who loses a wife is called a widower. A child who loses his parents is called an orphan. There is no word for a parent who loses a child. That's how awful the loss is. And going through this, I have my boss, and he says, you know, Joyce, you are an example of human resilience. And I looked at him and I said, I don't think so much is resilience, is that I know I have to do something and I'm gonna do it. And if you know me, usually if you tell me no, I will find a way to make it a yes because it's gonna go the way I want it to go. That's how I am. But that was something that I had to push forward. And it's not so much how or what happens to you. I really believe it's how you put it in perspective and try to get through it. And I know that there are so many other things that happen to people that is worse than what I went through. And that's why I was amazed that Loretta wanted me to talk. So I'm gonna go back a little and tell you what my year was. My son passed away in July. We had his funeral. In January, after my son passed away, I called texting to my family in Hawaii, and my brother texts back to me, oh, we're doing good. I just wanted to let you know I've been diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. No cure. I don't know who texts information like that with no, like, by the way, I had dessert today. I call him up, I'm crying because I just lost my son. My brother's been diagnosed with an incurable disease. And then he goes, oh, have you talked to Joanne, my older sister? She's 5 years older than me, my brother's 5 years younger than me. And I said, oh, no, why? And my first thought was, my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, had pancreatic cancer, and I thought, oh my gosh, the cancer came back. What happened? And he says, oh, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. I said, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I said, well, when did you guys know this? And they said, well, we knew when we came back from the funeral, but we know that you were going through a lot. I said, okay, Adam's not here anymore. I can't do anything for him. But we need to concentrate now on what's happening. During the same time, I think it came out about Agnes's diagnosis journey, and I was thinking, what the heck? Are you crazy? What, Lord, what's happening? And then my husband, we went to Hawaii to visit family, and we're coming in from the airport, and my husband gets a call, and he said, what? And I'm like, what's happening? Well, someone in their martial arts class was shot in the back of the head at work. I said, how does this all happen within not even a year? I'm just trying to get my head around this whole thing. And then we had other things that happened. It's just really crazy. And I kept thinking, okay, how much? I just tell people, you might not want to know me because things are like not going according to plan. And life does not go according to what you want it to go to. It's going to go to whatever the plan of the higher being has. It's not going to be yours. So that's my little nutshell in what happened to me in a 6-month span. It was really crazy. I just went through everything, and I kind of didn't know what was happening in life, why it was being like this. Going to visit my brother, trying to visit him as much as possible. ALS has, from the time of diagnosis, you're lucky if you live 5 years. And this is going on his second, he'll be going on his third year. So it's been kind of difficult. And then I went to a workshop, and there is a Japanese form of pottery called kintsugi, and that's Kintsugi, and it is when something is broken and made more beautiful. So it is said to repair with gold. It is an art of putting broken pottery pieces back together with gold to build on the idea that embracing flaws and imperfections, you can create an even stronger, more beautiful piece of art. And that's what we all are. We're all pieces of art that God put together, or a higher being put together. And we come broken sometimes. You know, I'm 60 and I'm not what I used to be at 18. Things are not the same. And sometimes life throws us a blow and we crack. But we put ourselves together and we're stronger for that. And we're more beautiful. I don't see anyone that's not beautiful. I think everybody's beautiful because they all have a special spirit in them, a special part in them that they can share. Whether it be your gift of art, your gift of music, which thank you very much, that was really pretty. Your gift of just being a really good friend, a good listener. I mean, that's really hard because sometimes I'm like, okie dokie, I don't know what's happening, but hey, you have to like give it. The other part that helped me through my grief was service to others. And I think that is probably something that helped me the most, is helping somebody else that was having a hard time. Finding that person the resources that they needed, or putting them in touch with somebody who can help them alleviate their pain. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. Unemployment, illness, whatever, trying to find that. And I think that really helped everybody in my family. We started doing things for other people and helping other people. Then, so my son's he passed away. We just celebrated his second year in July. And I get a call from the detective. Well, when my son passed away, we let the law enforcement use his cell phone. And I said, if you can get anybody who sold him the drugs, go and get him. Because at that time, I wanted that person dead. I really wanted that person dead. And I can tell you this, if you think that something is deleted off your phone, it is not. They found so much on his phone that my son probably thought it was deleted. So going on to his second year, which was in July, I get this call from the detective from the DEA and the federal, and he says, we made the arrest. I said, who? And he says, the person that sold Adam the drugs that killed him. I said, okay, that's great news. And he said, do you want to be on the first arraignment meeting with the judge and be there? You won't be seen, he won't know who's on, but do you want to? I said, yes. That had to be one of the moments in my life that helped to have closure on this. And it was really great to feel that maybe if I can take this person off the street, he can start his recovery and he can actually help other people to get out of this darkness. He's in custody now. He was considered a flight risk. And I'm really hoping, because these are federal charges, that he will get the help that he needs, that I'm hoping that he wants to make the change, and he said that he did. And at this point, if he does that, I want to be there to support him. Yeah, the guy that sold my son the drugs that killed him, I want to support him. If he's on his road to recovery, I'll be there. Because I looked into his past, and he didn't have a good role model. He didn't have a good family life. But what can I do? As a mom, I feel for his mom. I just want to make sure that this person is off the street and saving lives by that, because he's not on the street. And the last quote I want to leave with you is something that I tell people all the time, is with life, there is always hope. Death is a one-way ticket. You don't come back from it. It's not like you can go to Hawaii and come back and say, okay, I'm with you again. Once you're dead, you're dead. And I tell parents that, and I tell people that as long as your child, as long as your loved one, your friend, or whoever it is alive, there is still hope that they will come to see that they want to get out of that darkness and have recovery. I want to tell you that everything is done for a reason. We just don't know the reason, but there is a reason for it. And that, just like Summer said, if there's a way that I can help, please contact me, contact Susie, and she'll put you in touch with me. Contact anybody from PICTAR, and they'll put you in touch with me. And we want to do this as a community, because we are Ohana, and we have to help each other. That is the only way that we can survive, and that is the only way that we will save our loved ones, is if we show the aloha and we work as a family. Thank you very much.